What's up, homies? I am so tired. So I'm gonna do my best to explain to you what I want you to do today, because when you're watching this, it will be today. I'm also realizing that there's a spelling error in my monologue. So, okay. Let's get right to it. So last video, I showed you guys a monologue and I walked you through the process of annotating that monologue. Hopefully you watched that video and you saw as I went through this super tragic monologue spoken by a character named George about a spot where he and his beloved used to hang. Beloved means his girlfriend, and they used to hang and now they're broken up and he's remembering tragically. Now, the first thing I want to do as the monologue performer in this case is I want to change the gender because I'm a female and I'd prefer to read the monologue as a female reflecting on a guy she broke up with. So I'm going to change all the pronouns out so they fit that scenario. So I'm just gonna right now take some poetic liberties and I'm gonna change George's name to hmm Georgiana, I guess. We'll make it nice and simple. The thing is, I don't have to say this name to anyone because there's no mention of the name in here. Um, or actually, well, okay, so he mentions in the monologue this girl Laura, so maybe I should make my name Laura. And then down here, I can change this to George. So if you're in a situation like this where your monologue was written for a male and you're a female and you don't want to play the role as the male, you can switch the pronouns. It's typically not okay to change anything about your monologue because it's someone else's writing that you're reading. But in this case, it's okay to alter the gender so that it fits your actor personality. Okay, so I'll deal with those pronouns later, but for now, we'll know that I'm going to play this character, Laura, who is remembering a spot where she and her man, George, used to hang out. And so, what you're going to be doing today is you're going to be doing some reflecting about who this person is who's giving this monologue, because you're no longer Micah or Poppy or Thomas or um, or whoever you are right now. You are now someone else. And so you want to really have a sense of who that person is that you're becoming. It's going to be really tempting to just try and get your monologue memorized as quickly as possible, but that actually can kind of backfire because you end up sounding like a robot or like a monotone instead of putting feeling and personality into what you're saying. So I have a sense of this monologue and what it's about. I know that my name is Laura, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill out a character profile. So in Google Classroom, you'll have a character profile shared with you. And you'll take it and you'll start by entering some information about your character. Now, the first thing you're going to do is put your real human name at the top. So, why? So for me, my name is Sarah Whitman, and you're going to leave, this is going to be gone. I don't know why that's there. Okay, so what you're going to do now down here is you're going to start becoming the character in your monologue. So I'm going to start with my name, Laura. Now, even though my last name isn't listed anywhere in the monologue, I'm gonna give myself a last name because this is where you kind of get to be a little creative. You want your character profile to fit the person who's giving your monologue, but sometimes there are unanswered questions, and if you want and it makes sense, you can create an answer. So I'm gonna say Laura's last name is going to be um, Laura Laura Heller. It's a good name. Laura Heller. Sounds kind of like Helen Keller. Laura Heller. No, I don't like it. Never mind. Take it back. Laura. Some of you are going to be like, oh, I'm going to call her Laura Murder Woman or something like that. Don't do that. Like, that's not believable. You're trying to create a believable character profile. So let's call her Laura Franklin. There we go. Laura Franklin. And age. So I'm going to think about my monologue. She's sitting here. She's by herself talking about a spot where she and her boyfriend used to go. I'm going to guess she's not 5. I'm going to guess she's not 85. So I'm going to say that Laura is 6. Yeah. And then I have to come up with a general physical description. So for this, I mean, I'm playing the role of Laura, so I probably want to use myself as an example, but I could come up with some things that might make Laura unique. So for example, I could say dresses, kind of goth, like all in black and like chainy stuff. And I could say blonde hair. I'm gonna say blonde hair that is super straight. Um, and I'm gonna say kind of emo. And I'm gonna say lots of eye makeup. So those are some physical descriptions that I could include for her. My hometown, again, I want to go back into my monologue and make sure I'm not saying things that don't fit with the story, but it looks like they just talk about this spot and they talk about, let's see, um, it looks like it's like a spot where they would do like picnicking and they sneak away from the group and take a walk. So I'm guessing that they live somewhere sort of suburban-ish. So I'm gonna make up a town. Let's say they live in they live in Han this is hard to come up with. Hannaford, Indiana. Made it up. If you wanted to, you could look up a town on a map and just, pick it. Type of home slash neighborhood. I'm going to say upper middle class suburb. Relationship status. Recently single. Womp womp. Social background, family and friends. So here you just might write like, I mean, you could give her a family and talk about that. You could say like, grew up in, let's say she grew up in a single family home with dad and younger sister. Single family. What does that even mean? Single parent. That's what I meant. With dad and younger sister. Has a small group of friends, but they drifted when she started dating George. Really making this depressing. So again, and everything I've said fits into the monologue. I'm not saying anything that couldn't be true. Job, scoops ice cream at local ice cream parlor. Okay, so basically I'm going to go through this whole list and I'm going to create a character profile and I'm going to get myself really comfortable with becoming this person, Laura Franklin, 16 years old, kind of gothy dresser, lots of eye makeup, lives with her dad and sister. So you want to almost like have this background information memorized so that if somebody were to interview you and say, "Oh, you're Romeo? What's your last name?" You'd be like, "Oh, I'm Romeo Montague. I'm from Verona, Italy." And you'd know all those details. Now, if you're doing a monologue and the character is someone more well known, for example, um, Micah is doing a monologue where he's playing the role of Hamlet, who is a Shakespearean title character. Micah's going to have to do some research to make sure he's not making up things about Hamlet that are actually said in the play. He can't just make up, like, be like, oh, well, Hamlet has a dad and 14 sisters. Unless the play tells us nothing about his family, Micah has to use what the play tells us. Okay, so you're going to work on this profile today. You're going to finish it. If you do the bonus questions, you're a superstar, and it'll help you to become more of the character who you are becoming. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be around for office hours. I think you're awesome, and I am looking forward to getting to work on memorizing your monologues and making them awesome. All right, have a great time.